Before we move to public comment, I just want to make a comment that I should have made under reports to the board. Earlier today, our building inspectors and Department of Law investigators visited a house at 150 Christian Avenue in Stony Brook, which has been the source of ongoing community complaints and town of Brookhaven enforcement actions. The investigators found a number of street signs that were stolen from neighborhood roadways, the Stony Brook Railroad Station, and community businesses hanging on the wall. The stolen property was seized by the Law Department investigators, and a criminal complaint was filed with the Suffolk County Police. Members of the fraternity Alpha Epsilon Phi that have been known to reside at this address. Ironically, the street sign from Fraternity Lane in Stony Brook was one of the signs found today's visit. It's brought to our attention that Alpha Epsilon Phi's president was removed and their charter at the Stony Brook University was restructured by the fraternity's national organization in November of 2012. University officials could not disclose whether or not this restructuring was related to the town enforcement action against 150 Christian Avenue. But I will say this: the town will continue to pursue actions against those who violate the law or our housing code, particularly by creating illegal multifamily housing. And we will continue to look at every aspect of how to pursue that to ensure that our codes are adhered to. And with that report to the board, we move to general public comment. This is a time where anyone can comment. They have 3 minutes. This town board does not respond. We listen. We're here to listen to you. And the clerk has some cards, and I would ask that she would call those cards now.
Yeah, well, Mr. Supervisor, before you say that, I just want to thank the Law Department for their work at 150 Christian. As you know, it's been an ongoing saga, and I think, I mean, clearly today's action is, piled on a series of many months and years at this point of the Law Department doing a really good job of trying to deal with our codes. I know one of the things we're doing tonight, Mr. Supervisor, you and I are co-sponsoring another part of the public hearings tonight is yet additional code change that we're making, primarily at the request of the concerned Stony Brook homeowners. But I think it'll have positive implications for all of the town of Brookhaven in terms of those unscrupulous landlords who might be trying to denigrate our hamlets and our neighborhoods and profit on the back of the loss of our quality of life and quiet and peaceful enjoyment of our homes. So I want to thank the Law Department again, and thank you for continuing to encourage the Law Department and give them the tools they need to properly enforce our codes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I just want to point out we have actions pending throughout the town of Brookhaven. Obviously, the concerned homeowners of Stony Brook have vigorously pursued this, but we are working with several community groups in several communities on housing issues such as this. And with this, Ms. Clerk, if you could call those wishing to speak.
Thank you. Meg Switzgable, Thomas Brown, Clifford Heimowitz, Bruce Sheehy. Okay, thank you. You each have 3 minutes to speak. Is that a statement? Would you like to give it to the clerk's desk, please? And please state your name and where you're from into the microphone before you begin.
Meg Switzgable, Fire Island Pines. We're here tonight to ask the town board's help. We've had a personal experience involving the building department and the law department that seems to mirror what others are experiencing. We have found that some kind of undue influence allows construction in the town of Brookhaven in a disparate, unequal, and unlawful manner. In our case, even after receiving relief from the courts, including a unanimous appellate court decision, we have yet to overcome this undue influence. The building department has issued construction permits without first requiring the removal, per town code and court order, of all illegal structures. A building inspector has admitted making a deal with a property owner, Mr. Lewis, allowing structures to remain that courts had ordered removed. A false certificate of compliance was issued. These false documents were to be submitted to the district court in March as evidence of Mr. Lewis's compliance. Town Attorney Moran, understanding the gravity of submitting false documents to the court, did not do so. Instead of using its authority and administrative power to bring Mr. Lewis into compliance with the town regulations and the appellate court decision, the building department has chronically not provided the law department with the essential documents it needs to prosecute the case and has ignored the illegal advice of town attorneys. Yet, in full knowledge of all of the above facts, Commissioner Haley and Chief Building Inspector Gerhauser have apparently represented to Supervisor Romaine that the building department has done nothing unusual or improper. Mr. Lewis began his illegal Fire Island Pines construction over 10 years ago. In its 2010 appellate court decision, the justices noted Mr. Lewis's, quote, complete disregard for zoning laws, end quote. Mr. Lewis subsequently sued the town in federal court, and that case was dismissed. Having lost in court and without taking down any of his illegal structures, Mr. Lewis again began building illegally and tore down 3 stop work orders before the town finally issued violations. After 2 bench warrants for his arrest, Mr. Lewis pled guilty on May 3, 2012, agreed to pay a measly $750 fine and to remove all his violations in 90 days. Now, over 420 days later and counting, Mr. Lewis has still not done so.
My name is Thomas Brown, Fire Island Pines. I want to continue that thought. On such a high visibility case as this, where Mr. Lewis's long documented wrongdoing was blatantly continuing, why would a building inspector make any deal with Mr. Lewis and on top of that issue a false certificate of compliance? And why, over 4 months later, has the building department not taken any steps to reverse this? In times of economic distress, to have, at the very least, a lack of coordination between the 2 important departments is costly and troubling. Post-appellate decision, we have sat through 27 district court hearings, and it seems obvious to us that Mr. Lewis, for some reason, is receiving extraordinarily preferential treatment. This well-documented case may be revealing a much bigger problem in Brookhaven. We believe the issuance of false instruments, acknowledged as false by a town building inspector, is a potentially criminal matter, in addition to being in direct violation to a court order. We are here tonight to ask the town council to take note, to rescind these illegal instruments, something the building department should have requested from you months ago, and take appropriate action before Mr. Lewis's next court date of July 18th. The record in this instance is rich. We include a copy of our most recent email to Supervisor Romaine with this text tonight. We can provide more specifics for anyone who's interested, and we thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And without getting in detail in the email, I made it clear that this town will abide by any court ruling, and any department not abiding by that court ruling will be so dealt with. And I think I conveyed that to you in my email.
Our concern is that there's been no rescinding of those illegal documents, those false documents. That hasn't been conveyed. That's why we came tonight.
I can't comment, but I just wanted to say we will comply with all court orders.